Hello and welcome to the Global Summit on Tech-Facilitated Gender-Based Violence. I'm Felicity Mulford, Research Manager at the Centre for Information Resilience. Before we begin this session, I'd just like to take a quick moment to say that some of the content we cover may be triggering. In the lobby chat, you'll find a link to No More's global directory, an incredible hub of support services. But this session aims to be exciting. We're coming to you with a dose of optimism and youth-centered approaches to deal with the ever-growing and ever-evolving issue of TFGBV. Over the past year, I've had the privilege of running the Cyber Allies Initiative. It started after a few years' worth of research in Ethiopia, where we started to ask the question of how to turn that research into action. Through workshops and consultations with stakeholders, we were repeatedly told to empower and educate young people. So we partnered with Media Smart Youth Ethiopia and co-developed the Cyber Allies Toolkit and Training Programme. The initiative is designed to equip young people with the knowledge, the skills, the tools, and the confidence to try to tackle TFGBV so that they can understand, build their own self-defense, expose and counter these forms of harms. But who better to tell you about this project than the amazing young people that have worked on it? So I'm joined today by Bava and Edil, two of the Media Smart Youth Ambassadors and Program Manager. So Bava and Edil, welcome. Over to you, Edil.
Hi, my name is Dilawi Daraje. I am from Media Smart Youth Ethiopia, and I served as the program manager and the youth ambassador as I was working on the Cyber Allies Toolkit.
Hi, my name is Bava Abdul Ghafoor, and I'm a youth ambassador at Media Smart Youth, and I've been co-developing the toolkit with partnership with CIR. Thank you.
Thank you so much. So, Edil, it would be great if we could contextualize the toolkit. When you think of TFGBV, tech facilitated gender-based violence in your community, what does it actually look like in the everyday lives of young people?
Thank you for giving me this chance. So one thing that has been we're seeing consistently is that PFGBV is very normalized in the young people's digital lives. And honestly, that normalization is one of the what makes it very dangerous. So it's not always, it might not be always dramatic or obvious, so it does not always look like explicit threat or violent messages. Sometimes it's harassment buried in comment sections, as a post or maybe a partner demanding passwords. So in the name of trust. So it's very slippery slope and kind of obscure sometimes. And so these things exist on a spectrum. So some of them feel very ordinary, so they're woven into the what it means to be online. So they're very normalized. So this one, but they're not really on the fringe spaces. They're not happening in some obscure platform. They're happening where young people exist and to do for work, for education, for their activism or any kind of daily lives. So it exists as part of their daily lives, and it's not only online. It spills into their daily lives by through mental health issues, self-esteem issues, as well as some women or some young women have either reported self-censoring and being disappearing from online spaces. So this is very the cost of being visible is clearly high. So women and young people are currently being as reported showing that it's better to be offline than they're online. So this is what it looks like in their daily lives.
Thank you so much, Edil, and I'm sure many young people who may be watching will resonate with many of the things you've just said. Bava, maybe we can come to you now, and I'd love you to explain the different challenges and risks that you feel are most urgent or real for young people in Ethiopia when it comes to safety, relationships, and privacy.
Thank you. So when I think about the most urgent online risks for young people in Ethiopia, one of the biggest issues which is being normalized is how harmful digital behaviors affect us, especially around privacy and relationships. The key issue here is that many young people experience online harm without even recognizing that it is a violation of their rights and tolerate it for the sake of relationships. What we're seeing more broadly is that privacy details like passwords, chats, or even images are being increasingly monitored by partners online, where in the outcome we hear news like impersonation, harassment, sextortion, and chats being leaked commonly in digital spaces. In many cases, these behaviors are tolerated socially or treated as normal relationship behavior, often misunderstood as trust building. And this can imply the lack of digital and media literacy in Ethiopia, where many young people know how to use technology, but not necessarily how to protect themselves, or understand consent, or respond safely to online harms. So, for instance, we can mention from the TikTok tech forums we had back in October, we've gathered responses that where participants confirmed they personally know 7 out of 10 people who have faced sextortion. And what really matters here is that we can see how online harms are not rare or distant, but are increasingly being a part of our daily lives.
Thank you so much, Barbara. And yeah, that statistic from the tech forum was really harrowing. Edel, it'd be great to come to you next. When you were creating the toolkit and training program, what kind of language do you feel was really important to use, and why did that matter to you?
So that's a great question. For us, it was non-negotiable that it had to be very user-friendly and trauma-informed, especially for girls and marginalized youth who are already dealing with being blamed or dismissed or being told they need to shut their phones, log off, and like move on from online spaces. So we didn't want to create something that added to that, and we wanted to feel safe, like a safe space on a page. So that also meant being really intentional with the language, and technical terms were explained clearly, and we tried to avoid jargon as much as possible. And we used conversational language, activities, real life scenarios. So the goal was never like to information dump, but to make it to start conversation. So we didn't want young people to close the booklet and be done with it. We wanted it to be part of their daily lives, and we wanted them to know their rights and know where to get support and know where they can actually do something about this. So a concrete example of this could be our exposed section. Initially it was a research or a research method, almost an information dump. But when we tried it on our workshop, we saw that it clearly didn't land as much as we hoped. So we went back to the drawing board and we rearranged it, rewrote it, reframed it so that it's much better fits the interest and the capabilities and the wants of the use. So it still covers the same content, but in a different way, and now has more activities, more case studies, more hands-on, step-by-step guides instead of just information. However, we didn't leave the information. We have an annex part that that accompanies the toolkit. So we wanted the use to feel like this is for them, and they can use it if they have a phone, if they have an internet, if they're online. This is for them. So that is what we try to communicate through the toolkit.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. That process of iteration, testing was really important in the design of this toolkit, and it really did help to shape all the various sections into something that actually will land in a classroom, which is for us really important. So thank you for sharing that. Baba, it'd be great if you could tell us from your own experiences and from what you've seen around you, did any of these experiences and influences change the way you decided to communicate about the issues within the toolkit?
Okay, thank you again. Well, a lot of my perspective and the way we communicated these issues in the guide came from directly listening to young people, as Adil mentioned, and observing the kinds of online harms repeatedly described during workshops and testing work sessions. One of the strongest patterns we noticed was the concern around non-consensual intimate image sharing and the emotional impact it has on young people. What really matters here is that many participants spoke not only about the incident itself, but also about the social response that follows it. We observed that people who were affected by these situations were blamed, judged, and isolated, instead of getting the support they need and being directed to the help they deserve. we were intentional about using language that's respectful and supportive and non-judgmental. So we used terms like survivors instead of victims, where we even got supportive comments from testing workshops that including the youth as part of the lead in the guide has been very engaging and supportive for them.
Yeah, I personally loved the piece of feedback we got after the testing workshop when young people said the best bit about it was that young people delivered it. I thought that was really incredible feedback, and it helped us to know that, yeah, all future trainers, everyone we're going to be training for this coming year has to be a young person who can really sit and talk and really relate to others in the room. And the power of that was immense. So yeah, thank you so much for sharing that. Finally, I'd love to hear from both of you. What do you want other young people to feel or understand immediately when they see the toolkit or when they join us for one of the training sessions? And how do you think that shaped the style and voice of the toolkit?
So I'll go first, and then so more than anything, we wanted young people to feel like this is theirs to solve as well. Yes, it's also governmental, it's also other entities need to also be involved, but it's also on them to solve this as well. So from the very first page, we call them cyber allies. So it is a call to people who are to empower them to stand up, to speak out, to take action. So that's not just like a nice title. So it shapes the whole toolkit. So we have 4 sections. We have understand, expose, defend, and counter. So each of them have that in mind about empowering youth. So for example, the understand is to help young people know what TFGBV actually look like, including within their own relationship, and then defend, equip them with practical digital self-defense skills, like from managing vicarious trauma to navigating social media safely. The expose teaches them how to document and monitor TFGBV safely and ethically. And then when we go to the last counter section, it is to support them to turn all those knowledges that they into real action, whether that's running their own digital self-defense classes or courses, supporting survivors, or challenging harmful behaviors in their own communities. So every section moves someone further along the journey from awareness to like agency. So we also really wanted young people to feel seen. TFGBV isn't an abstract global problem. So it's happening in their schools, in their relationships, in their group chats. So every part of the toolkit is with in mind to make it as local as part of as simulating real life as possible. We used Ethiopian names, Ethiopian names, Ethiopian activities, Ethiopian stories, and then it's being translated into multiple Ethiopian languages as well. So it's a really great piece of document that will help someone empower and equip the youth to have emotional resilience as well as community mobilize to mobilize their community against the FGBB.
So much, Edel. Let's pass straight to Barbara. What were your thoughts?
So the main point here is that the toolkit was created with the youth or the young people and not just for them. What really matters is that the toolkit feels relatable, approachable, and grounded in the real experiences young people face online these days. So the workshops and testing sessions aimed to gain perspectives and get feedbacks that were strong to help the youth to be comfortable in discussing TFGBV when conversations and trainings were held by the young people. And this has also been said to overcome barriers of expressing their opinions about the matter. And the toolkit's voice has also aimed to be conversational, supportive, and practical rather than formal, overly formal and technical.
Thank you, Barbara. Yeah, I think one of the things I'm hearing from both of you is how actionable the toolkit is. You know, it's not just an information dump, but it's activities, it's learning, it's ways to take that learning into your everyday life or to spread it with your community. And I think that's what makes it so powerful. One example I'll give that I really loved was the digital intervention guide. So we sat as a group and spoke through the bystander intervention procedures that exist online, but saw that there was a real gap in interpreting that in online spaces. And through workshops, we actually built our own digital bystander intervention guide. And that's one part of the take action part of the toolkit, which I think is really exciting, helping to kind of bring all of that amazing guidance into the digital age. I think with that in mind and with the amazing perspectives and experience you shared, we're going to start to bring the session to a close. So thank you so much for sharing everything with us, Bava and Edil. If you'd like to learn more about the toolkit or the training program, including how you can bring it to your university, your school, your club, your conference, please do get in touch with us, as we'd love to share it as far and wide as we can. We really hope that you'll leave this session feeling inspired. There are solutions out there that seem to be working. We are able to educate and empower young people to be part of this fight against TFGBV. Lastly, a really big thank you to both No More and UN Women for hosting this discussion today, and goodbye for now. Big thanks.